I'm Anne-Maria Nicholson and welcome to the Arts Quarter, this time from the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney. Coming up, actor Cate Blanchett wrangles with films about homelessness.
Almost 50,000 people under the age of 25 are homeless in Australia, and it's a shocking statistic.
But first, it's all lights and action here in the Museum of Contemporary Art. It's emerging from a major rebuilding phase with 2 new galleries just opened and an exhibition where the audience is just as important as the artworks. 100 light bulbs are at the core of Rafael Lozano-Hemmer's Pulse Room, one of his interactive installations that must record heartbeats to make it work.
This is a sensor of Pulse Room. It's basically sensors not unlike what you might find at a gym. It measures the electrical activity in your heart and then it converts it into flashes of light in this light bulb. So this right here is my heartbeat. Oftentimes museums have a very condescending and paternalistic attitude toward the public. They're just measuring how many come and how many go through the gift shop. But I think that if you give the public a chance to represent themselves and to express, you'll be surprised.
His digital art can be found all over the world. Microphones, cameras and sensors capture crowd reactions. These tape measures are computer-driven, rising and falling as they react to every person who walks by.
Good artwork is like a good party. You put the music, you put drinks, you set the dance floor, but it is really the people that make the party happen.
Nothing about this exhibition is as it seems. It's the first show in the new look Museum of Contemporary Art, and if this is any indication, the beginning of a whole new artistic experience. 2 huge galleries are finished, but the new wing is still under construction. The scheduled opening of the $53 million redevelopment is next March, with another major international show in the works.
We're very excited that Christian Markley, who's made this extraordinary artwork called The Clock, which was described by the New York Times as the #1 show of 2010, is going to be part of our opening season next year. It's a work that Christian spent 2 years compiling, taking grabs from films of minutes over 24 hours. It is an absolutely extraordinary artwork.
An animated film by a Queensland high school student has won a national competition for movies about one of Australia's most pressing social issues, homelessness. Actor Cate Blanchett was among the judges who chose the film, which draws attention to the growing number of young people without a place to call home. Warrick Beanland comes from a comfortable home in Toowoomba, but his film about homelessness was so insightful it got the thumbs up for first prize.
Do you want to say a few words? You don't have to.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, everyone. That's all I'm going to say.
His $7,000 prize money will go to his school, Harristown High, for the story he invented about a teenager whose circumstances leave him homeless.
His mother dies when he's growing up, and his father goes into a deep depression and turns into an alcoholic as well. And he comes home every day really angry. And so one day he just fully snaps and he just goes at the boy and he gets kicked out of the house.
It was a really unique and quite rudimentary form of animation that Warrick undertook. But the fact he did it all himself and the roughness of it gave the film a real emotional power.
Students from schools around Australia entered the contest, with finalists coming from all states and territories.
I think the finalists for us were the ones that actually tried to take a unique perspective on it, tried to put themselves in the shoes of, the terrifying almost 50,000 people under the age of 25 are homeless in Australia. And it's a shocking statistic.
The project was spearheaded by the acclaimed documentary Oasis, which exposed the harrowing reality of youth homelessness. Those behind the film wanted to continue raising public awareness of the issue, targeting young people to help with the cause.
They're out on the streets with no home, no food, no water, and it must be so difficult for them.
13 schools will share $25,000 in prize money and learn a lesson in social justice along the way. It's not often NASA gets credit for helping out Australian artists, but the Space Agency has played a part in a new exhibition in Washington DC. The exhibition is the US debut for Claire Healy and Sean Cordeiro, who've been given prime space at the renowned Corcoran Gallery of Art. North American correspondent Lisa Miller went along on opening night.
Houston Alpha Discovery, we show no fly required. We're initiating the final approach from 30 feet. Houston Discovery, we're getting some great video. You guys look great.
On his bed in the middle of a golden floor lies an astronaut. A picture of isolation and reflection. Sydney artists Claire Healy and Sean Cordeiro call him their everyman. He's surrounded by his rations for a 520-day round trip to Mars. This is a message about the aspiration of space travel and the reality of consumerism.
It's basically the top 10 product categories that Americans consumed in 2009. So it's things like cheese, beer, wine, cigarettes.
They were inspired after a trip to Washington, eating freeze-dried ice cream at the Air and Space Museum and visiting a massive supermarket in the suburbs. The exhibition's called Are We There Yet? And after 3 years of planning, curator Beatrice Gralton is relieved the answer is finally yes.
It's a reaction of kind of awe and beauty, and it's so sort of shiny and fun. And, you know, while they're grappling with some pretty dark questions in a sense, they're thinking about Thoreau's journey of isolation and introspection and this kind of very personal journey.
And how did NASA get involved? Well, every astronaut needs a suit, and the Space Agency was happy to oblige, especially on the 50th anniversary of man's first journey into space. The Australian Embassy in Washington helped fund the project, and opening night attracted a crowd. This is the artist's first US exhibition, and the venue, the country's oldest arts museum, the Corcoran, is an impressive starting point.
Just look around us, it's a pretty serious space. And
it's an incredible space. We feel really, really honoured.
On the lower level, the couple's Lego-based works hang on the walls. With their lurid colours and shiny surfaces, they tell the story of human loss, depicting the tragedy of the 1986 Challenger shuttle disaster. The exhibition is on display until March for those undertaking a little travel of their own. Lisa Miller, ABC News, Washington.
While most Australians are winding down for the year, the teams behind the Sydney and Perth festivals are gearing up. They're planning mammoth artistic offerings for the beginning of 2012.
Oh, my darling, she's so right.
This is the little match girl like you've never seen her. Cabaret performer Meow Meow is one of the headline acts for the 2012 Sydney Festival, one of 1,500 performers from around the world. For the 5th year running, the streets of central Sydney will be closed for opening night on the 7th of January for a massive party. Among the shows, a theatrical extravaganza on climate change created by director Nigel Jamieson. Like many works, there's a political edge.
Whether it's overtly political or internally political, I think Australian artists definitely respond to the work, the world that they see around them, and in that sense, the work's political.
The voice of Arnhem Land, Gurumul Yunupingu, will be on the giant stage in the Domain for the opening night free performance, singing in a mix of English and Yolngu. Following on will be Megan Washington, a rising Australian singer-songwriter who slides effortlessly from jazz to pop. Jamaica's The Jolly Boys have been putting out the beat for nearly 60 years. They're part of an extensive feast of music and dance. Australia's Indigenous performers will be showcased much more prominently in this festival. A program under the banner Black Capital will be staged here at the Carriage Works, the former railway yards in the heart of Redfern. Wesley Enoch will direct I Am Aora, fusing dance, film and performance to tell stories of Sydney's Aboriginal community.
It allows the body to feel a sense of power.
The acclaimed National Theatre of Scotland joins a lineup of international acts with the play Beauty Burnout set in a boxing ring. Beautiful Burnout will travel on to Perth for that city's February festival. Western Australia's art extravaganza kicks off on February the 10th with a new artistic director, Jonathan Holloway, in the box seat. A French aerial spectacular, Place des Anges, will see the city buzzing with flying angels. Red balls will be popping up everywhere too. New York artist Kerr Pershey has taken his giant inflatables to many hip capitals, and now it's Perth's turn to expect the unexpected. Like Raoul, a fantasy world of shape-shifting illusion and slapstick from the French company Hanneton. This humour must run in the family, as the company is managed by James Serret, the grandson of the master of slapstick in the silent movies, Charlie Chaplin. Hobart's Mona Museum has delighted, surprised and even shocked many since it opened its doors in Tasmania at the start of the year. Now a major new show is sure to do the same thing. It's a solo exhibition by the Belgian artist responsible for the provocative digestive machine, Cloaca.
Inventive, shocking, repulsive. These are just some of the descriptions of artworks by Wim Delvoye.
He's certainly a controversial figure, and he's maybe like a bit of a David Walsh of the art world. He's highly regarded internationally.
Professional gambler and art lover David Walsh is the man responsible for Hobart's Museum of Old and New Art. It's perhaps fitting his museum is holding the first retrospective of Delvoye's work.
No museum has ever had so many of his more controversial works in one exhibition.
A private museum, it's much more flexible, it's not so formal, it is a much easier a situation to do something like a retrospective.
Since Mona opened in January, Delvoye's Cloaca installation is the most viewed and most hated work. Now there are 5 more.
There's something for everybody in Cloaca. Everybody loves poo, everybody poos. It's very cosmopolitan. I think in every country they poo.
The works are diverse, from intricately carved tyres to bronze sculptures and mice depicting the stations of the cross. Tattooed pigskins adorn the walls of one space, while a living canvas sits motionless in another. A German collector paid $200,000 for the human artwork.
I go where my owner tells me to go. I've had various exhibitions, one in Zurich, one in Shanghai, 3 in Germany, and now finally at the best place to be here at the Mona in Hobart.
Visitors will need to head to the bowels of the museum to feast on the latest offerings. Linda Hunt, ABC News, Hobart.
And that's all in this Arts Quarter. Season's greetings to you all, and see you soon for more news on arts and entertainment.